Well, 24 hours ago, a semi-final lineup at this World Cup, dominated by nations from the Southern Hemisphere, seemed inevitable. Now Scotland stand on the threshold of becoming the third team from the Six Nations to reach the last four. Fanciful, perhaps, but then who would have thought that both New Zealand and Australia would have spent this morning settling their extras bill at the hotel for the last time at this World Cup. We're at the Stade de France. We'll be back again here next weekend for two semi-finals and then a final. It's beginning to fill up. It's a big, big occasion. There you can see the three quarter-finals so far. Two real surprises in the first two, and very nearly a third there in the game down in Marseille earlier today between South Africa and Fiji. That scoreline certainly flatters the Springboks. Well, somebody sat just to my left here at the Stade de France in the northern suburbs of the French capital. He'll be feeling a bit nervous now. Former captain, the man who led Scotland to a Grand Slam 17 years ago. It's a very good evening to David Soul.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, make or break time for Scotland. And I think a tremendously exciting prospect ahead of us. You know, everyone expected before this match kicked off it was going to be a fairly straightforward task for Argentina, but as you say, the weekend has been turned on its head and anything could happen.
Well, let's hear now from the Scotland coach, Frank Hadden.
The last couple of years we've played against almost everybody in the world of rugby, and you know, we're familiar with what to expect tonight. We've also practiced over the last couple of years different styles of playing, and we think at this stage we've got enough tools in our toolbox to make life very difficult for the Argentinians.
So there are the views of Frank Hadden, a former fullback in his playing days. Now looking back on his career as the Scotland coach, which goes back a couple of seasons now. His first defeat was actually at the hands of Argentina in the last meeting of the two sides. And recent history, David, doesn't look too good for Scotland, although you know what it's like to beat these fellas, don't you?
Yeah, but you have to go back 17 years to remember it, and I remember it well because I was playing. You know, we defeated Argentina 49-3, and you know, it was Hugo Porter's last match. He scored the 3 points, and you know, they've met a number of times since then, and Argentina have won every single time. Interestingly, it was Jason White's first time as captain as well, that most recent defeat. So, you know, a couple of scores to be settled this evening.
Jason White is a key figure. He had, well, didn't really have a season at all, did he, last year? Hurting himself very early in the piece. But he's come back at the right time. And let's take a look at this side now. It's beginning to have a settled look about it.
Yes, it is. Unchanged from last weekend in Saint-Etienne against Italy. I think, you know, it was almost inevitable that Hadden was going to pick the same 15 that came through against Italy. As you say, pretty settled. I think the crucial area for Scotland is the back three, and what are they going to do on the counter-attack? I can't see Argentina not putting pressure on the fullback Rory Lamont, big high up and unders, but I think Scotland have got to counter-attack, and they've got to bring Chris Patterson into the game and counter-attack on angles. If they go up the middle of the park, they'll just get eaten alive, I reckon, by a very strong Argentine defence.
First man out of the bus there, Juan Hernandez. There is Felipe Contepomi, Agustin Pichot, the little general. And having seen what's happened over the course of the last 24 hours, they've suddenly become the most consistent side at this World Cup. They won the opening game. That is Ignacio Corletto, the fullback. Big occasion for all these men. They really are shaking up the world of rugby. Well, let's hear now from the Argentine side. This is the assistant coach, Daniel Bayetti.
We hope to play well. That is the only way we are going to win, no? At the moment, we train a lot. This week, we need some rest because there was so hard the other games, and we need some rest. We are very good at the moment, and the players are confident to play well, and I hope they are going to play like this.
Well, David, according to the master plan, this, of course, should have been the quarter-final involving France, and we were getting a bit worried half an hour ago when the Stade de France here was looking very empty indeed. Beginning to fill up now, but we were concerned that one or two French people who had bought tickets on the strength of the promise that they felt of seeing their side here play in what would have been a home quarter-final. Well, it's all worked out rather well for them because they've now got through the semi-finals, beaten New Zealand on the way. But you get a sense that suddenly Paris has come alive again after that result last night. Well,
they did it the hard way, didn't they? I mean, it was an extraordinary occasion in Cardiff last night, and an incredible result. I mean, you know, I think everybody expected the French to go out against the hands of the tournament favourites, but you know, they were just incredibly resilient in defence and came up with the win.
And look at this side, incredible strength in the forwards. They really were swarming all over the Irish a week ago. That pack, very big, powerful, but also mobile. But look at the backs, Pichot and Hernandez. El Maggio, they call Hernandez, the magician. Will we see it again tonight?
Well, I think Scotland have got to squeeze the half-back combination if they're going to stand a chance. They've got to put pressure on Pichot and Hernandez. If they give him an armchair ride, it's going to be curtains. So a key area. Can Mike Blair in the Scottish back row squeeze Hernandez and Pichot? They look very relaxed though, don't they?
Marcelo Lafreda, the coach, who moves on to Leicester in the immediate aftermath of this World Cup. Another man on the coaching staff for Argentina is Les Cusworth, the former Leicester and England fly half, who now lives in the quaint suburb of Buenos Aires called Hurlingham. Well, this is a little bit earlier. The toss-up between the two captains, Jason White on the right, Augustin Pichot on the left. Joe Juge, the French referee, taking charge of his 5th game at this World Cup. And a man I suspect, well, he may have suffered a bit as a result of last night's match, because I think the final, if it hadn't involved France, had Juge's name written all over it.
Well, you never know. England-France semi-final here in a week's time. He might still be in play, but I'm sure he'd much rather be watching it from the bench with France featuring in the final.
That wasn't a Scotsman talking up England, was it?
I couldn't possibly comment.
Well, these are those last few moments. As a captain, David, are the final words said now? Are they done?
Yeah, I mean, I always used to get the guys together, try and get focused in the last 2 minutes before you actually went out, because once you get out into this incredible atmosphere, it's a bit of a maelstrom for the first 10 minutes. So it's really important that the players are focused. They know exactly what the job is they've got to do, and they come out with real purpose and real determination.
Well, there's a bit of strapping to the right thigh of Augustin Pichot. He's the last man out, so keep your eye on that. Clearly 1 or 2 hamstring problems. That's certainly what it looks like. There's Kelly Brown, Chris Cussiter. He'll be a little bit disappointed he hasn't got a start in this match. That's certainly one thing that they've got 2 of in Scotland. 2 outstanding scrum halves in Mike Blair and Chris Cussiter.
Yeah, and then you've also got Rory Lawson, who's been, you know, a form player down at Gloucester. You know, it's ironic we have 3 great players in that position, and some other positions were really struggling, but that's the way of Scottish rugby.
Well, we can see black armbands being worn by the Scots, and I do wonder if that may be in recognition of the passing of Bruce Hay earlier in the week. A man who was not only a very fine rugby player, but also a tremendous character.
Well, I was at a dinner, a testimonial dinner for Bruce. He was very, very unwell earlier on this year, but it was just extraordinary the number of people who came and paid tribute to him from all over the world, and I mean all over the world. A fantastic guy and tremendous player.
So what finer way would there be for this Scottish team to remember a man like Bruce Hay than go out here and make their way to a World Cup semi-final. Juan Hernandez, so much in his hands, as is that man, Agustin Pichot. The Argentines led out by Gonzalo Longo, playing his 50th Test match here. On an occasion like this, though, that is just a number. There they are. They're a very tight unit. That's certainly something that this Argentine team make an awful lot of. There is almost a club atmosphere about them, although it has to be said that many of them do play for a small number of clubs here in France, and men like that, Agustin Pichot, here in Paris. Making the move, though, next season from Stade Francais to the Racing Club. Two Paris teams, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be standing for the national anthems of Argentina and Scotland, recorded by the Republican Guard and the French Army Choir.
The Argentines throw down the gauntlet to the Scots. Now, can you follow that? We saw Simon Taylor there, who'll be wearing 8 for Scotland, playing his club rugby at Stade Francais next season against 1 or 2 of the Argentine players. Well, if Juan Hernandez is important to Argentina, the same can be said of Chris Patterson and Scotland. The former Edinburgh player has yet to miss a kick at goal at the tournament. And there, El Majo is how Juan Hernandez is referred to by his teammates. He kicked 3 drop goals involving both feet against Ireland last Sunday. The fly half has a real chance over the next fortnight of establishing himself as the most exciting playmaker in world rugby. Well, so big is this encounter in Argentina that the great football derby between River Plate and Boca Juniors was brought forward 2 hours to avoid a clash with the quarter-final here in Paris. Juan Hernandez gets it underway. The first catch is missed by Jim Hamilton. P-shot. Hernandez, the first attempt at a drop. He got 3 last week. The first one just drifts wide.
Well, a signal of intent by Argentina. It was a very scrappy take at the start. But look, right on the 10-yard line, 10-meter line even. He certainly had the distance. My goodness me. Just shaved that right-hand post.
Well, Hernandez was here in June playing for his club, Stade Francais, wearing the number 10 jersey. He led them to a narrow win over Clermont-Auvergne on that occasion. Knows this pitch well. And there he is with the ball in hand again. He hoists this one high. Coletto and Hernandez in pursuit. Good catch from Rory Lahman. That'll do wonders for his confidence. Blair. There's Dan Parks. P-shot is in pursuit. He's got support there of Agula.
Away, wide. Don't play wide.
And the touch is comfortably found.
Well, a great first take by Rory Lamont there. He had a difficult evening against Italy. Italy pursuing a similar sort of tactic, and I expect Argentina will do a lot of that this evening. But the first couple of balls he didn't take cleanly, so as you say, a lot of confidence for him.
Good first throw in there for Ross Ford. He finds Nathan Hines. One half of the Antipodean connection here with the Scots. Nathan Hines, born in Wagga Wagga. It's eventually there for Blair. Back to Parks. That's for Webster to chase. Webster up against Corletto. Rob Dewey there. Desperate defence for a moment there from Argentina. P-shot. Finds Roncero. Gonzalo Longo down there. Back P-shot. Hernandez. Finds a good touch. Quick throw from Lahman. This is enterprising from the Scots. Patterson. Hernandez is underneath it. Comfortable catch. Remember, Hernandez has played so much of his rugby at fullback. P-shot. That's Corletto.
Well, Chris Patterson was a long way offside there.
11 blue, offside position.
He was well in front of the back foot of the scrum, and well,
Number 4.
you can see Scotland trying to dictate the pace of the game, the quick line out. There's Patterson out on the left-hand side there. Just a little bit lazy by Scotland, indisciplined.
Well, talking about indiscipline, that is a dreadful kick.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, he was obviously trying to drill it into the corner there, but he didn't need to be so greedy. And it's given Scotland a great position there. Looks like Ewan Murray's boot's taken an injury there.
Using plenty of black tape there, Ewan Murray. One of 2 members of this Scotland team. Starting 15, in fact, playing in National League One, which is the second flight of rugby in England. Playing for Northampton. I suspect they'll be back in the top division next year. But Murray, who made the move from Glasgow at the end of last season. And that is Horacio Agula, a try scorer against Ireland last week. One of the amateurs in this Argentine team.
Well, Murray's a really important man in this Scottish scrum.
Up against Rodrigo Roncero. The Stade Francais. Loose head prop.
Scotland outweighing Argentina. You wouldn't have thought that with this fairly beefy Argentine front row.
Scelza, Ledesma, Roncero, two men who play their rugby in Clermont-Ferrand for Clermont-Auvergne. Roncero for the local club, Stade Francais. I say the local club at the other end of town, at Stade Jean-Bouin, which is just behind the Parc des Princes.
Well, you can see Ewan Murray there trying to scrummage really low.
Hernandez hoists that one high. Larment underneath it. That was off the hand. May well have been forward by Manuel Contepomi. Referee's playing advantage to Scotland here. Blair. Parks finds a good touch. Hernandez, after the quick throw-in, thinks about it and decides not to.
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how much tactical kicking Dan Parks does this evening. As Lamont not quite getting to it, but I don't think Scotland really, the only kicks they need to do are the big up and unders. Because I think if they try and take on Argentina up front, it's playing to the Argentine strengths.
5 minutes gone, no score. Ignacio Fernandez-Lobo was the target in the line there. There's Ledesma, the age of 34. Referee's blown his whistle.
Well, accidental knock offside there. Just a little bit clumsy by Argentina. There we go. He actually runs into Albacete.
Almost 6 minutes gone, no score. Reasonably settled start though for the Scots. There's Parks. Webster leaves it behind. But the ball's gone forward.
Well, that's a shame there because there's a big gap there for Webster.
It's got a brave move, isn't it? Webster has played a lot of his rugby on the wing. Very fast man is Webster. And he does have centre options, Frank Haddon, but he's decided there to bring in Webster into the centre.
Well, I think Andy Henderson and Rob Dewey, very similar players. And Webster just adds a different dimension.
5 metres inside the Argentine half. Hernandez, once again, plenty of height, not enough depth on that. Larment comes through and knocks it on. Here's P-Shot. Referee playing advantage. Mike Blair does the defensive work. Keeps the ball in field. That was Agula, back to Hernandez again. Well read there by Parks. Bit of space here for the Scots. There's Patterson. Ali Hogg first on the scene. There's Mike Blair. Look at the blue and white hoop jerseys there swarming around. Scotland have secured it though. 15 metres inside their own half. That's Jason White standing over it. He's got the support of Hogg.
Away, White! Away, White!
Parks takes play just inside the Argentine half.
Well, I think that's the right thing for Scotland to do to counter-attack against Argentina, and it was one thing that Jordan Murphy tried to do, but unlike on that occasion, Ireland last week, they failed to get defending players in behind where Murphy was tackled, but that time Scotland very quickly to re-secure the ball.
The prize for the winners here, same time, same place, next week. A semi-final against South Africa. Good drive this from the Argentines. 9 metres inside Scottish territory. P-Shot wants it.
You want in the middle, no problem.
He's going to have to wrestle it out of hands there. The Scots competing well. Agula steps in to play scrum half. Hernandez hoists it. Larmont's underneath it, as is Contepomi. Picked up by his twin brother, Felipe Contepomi. Running out of options there, but it will be a line out. Scottish ball.
Well, it's an effective tactic. It worked very well last Sunday against Ireland. Why bother changing something that works well? Roy Lamont just a little bit unlucky to be robbed there. And Contepomi running out of space, running out of support.
Okay.
It is remarkable, isn't it? 3 sets of brothers on the field. The Larmonts, the Contepomis, they're twins. and also the Fernandez Lobes.
Well, Scotland have produced a few brothers over the years, the Hastings brothers, the Milne brothers, the Calder brothers, the Brewsters. There's a long list of brothers. Of course, Gordon and Peter Brown. Goes on and on.
Yeah, I bumped into Scott Hastings outside. Like everybody here, on the evidence of the other 3 games at this quarter-final stage, just about everybody reluctant to call the result here. On the evidence of what we've seen so far in the tournament until the last 24 hours, you have to say that Argentina come here as outstanding favourites. But after the last day, anything is possible. Rob Dewey coming in with the tackle there. There's Pichot. That big Argentine front row trying to punch a hole. That's Coletto coming into the line from fullback. 12 metres now inside the Scottish half. Taken on by Albacete. It's good possession, but it's all rather slow at the moment. Lamont goes back. Brushes off one tackle. That's Webster. He's got speed, remember. He's seen a bit of space. Hernandez, though, his instincts. He knows he's a fullback. Goes back to cover the move there of Coletto. Oh, that's rather special. Didn't quite come off in the end. But that's the sort of thing that Hernandez can do. Bourget's going back. The ball not running over his own try line. And the kick, pretty horrible one, to be honest. Well taken by Mike Blair. Blair's got support from Patterson. Patterson's half through. Coletto comes across to do the work, but was Patterson taken late?
Well, I have to say it was a forward pass, which is what the referees come back to. I think everybody thinks that Patterson should have been, or he should have got the penalty for a late challenge. Well, hard to say whether that was a late challenge or not, but for once, the referee actually picking up the forward pass. There's a bit of a dive as well, you know. Things like that, I think, just, you know, they almost merit a yellow card as much as the offence itself, but...
Well, my first instinct, I must say, was that it was a forward pass, but that's been one thing that we've seen slip through on a few occasions over the course of the last few weeks.
Well, I think even in the match yesterday between France and the All Blacks, there were 2 forward passes leading to Josian's try, but neither of them picked up by the officials. But, read the papers, it's a try. France in the semi-final.
For the second time, the front rows collapsed. Scotland are penalised.
And shoulder up.
Ewan Murray there getting a fairly stern talking to. The tight head prop up against Rodrigo Roncero. Murray is a key figure. Roncero is a big, powerful lad.
Well, I think he'll want to scrummage as low as he possibly can, because if he's scrummaging low, it's very difficult for the loose head to get underneath him.
Well, that was not the greatest kick, but there was a miscommunication between Patterson and Lamont.
Well, poor play by Scotland there. Here's where the penalty came. And you see Ewan Murray trying to take it down. It just, you know, he needs to bend a little bit at the knees, keep his back straight. He's actually going down from the hips there, and that's what's causing the problem.
So what should have been an opportunity, if not for a counter-attack, certainly clear the lines, becomes a great opportunity there. And Scotland are going to be penalised for taking the man down in the line there. There's Pichot working the short side. The drive over in the corner. But I think the referee's going to come back for a penalty to Argentina. He is.
Yeah, Scotland very keen to stop the catch and drive. Just pulling down the Argentine jumper there.
Nathan Hines just squaring up to Mario Ledesma. That's a mismatch if ever there was one. There has to be about 9 or 10 inches between those two.
Well, you know, Simon Taylor there, he knew exactly what he was doing. It's just a daft penalty to give away in that sort of position.
Felipe Contepomi. .409 points in his Test career. That makes him the third highest point scorer in Argentina's history. Hugo Porter leads 581. And between those two, Gonzalo Quesada. Well, he's pulled the first one round wide of the left hand upright. Contepermi was in bed for a couple of days with a spot of flu at the beginning of the week. I won't say that contributed to that, but at the moment hasn't got his kicking boots on.
No, but it's a surprisingly flat atmosphere here at the Stade de France, I think. You know, for a quarter-final of the World Cup, maybe it's because the majority of this crowd are probably French, off, you know, expecting France to be here, but it seems very quiet, very flat.
It is a vast arena, isn't it? It does seem to happen sometimes in these big stadia. There's a running track underneath
10 meters.
The grey tarpaulins or whatever they are over on the far side. You catch a glimpse of those, so most of the fans are fairly well removed from the action. But Scotland now have an opportunity, and remember, Scotland have yet to miss a kick at goal in this tournament.
Well, and interesting, they've given it to Dan Parks as opposed to Chris Patterson. I mean, Chris Patterson, incredibly reliable, and you know, has the best statistical record of any goal kicker in world rugby at the moment. But Dan Parks hasn't missed one. He kicked 5 against Portugal, so he's on 100% as well. But he needs to give this one a real spank to get it over. He's well, you can see he's right on the halfway line.
Scotland so far, 20 kicks at goal taken, 20 successful. 5 of them, as David said, from this man. The Glasgow fly half. From 49.5 metres, he's got the length. It's 21 out of 21. Scotland lead, 16 minutes gone.
Well, that certainly caught the imagination of the crowd now. Just what Scotland needed.
Could we be starting yet another remarkable chapter in this weekend of World Cup rugby? That time, big Jim Hamilton spinning it into touch.
Long way to go yet. But I mean, interesting, the reaction of the crowd. Argentina using a lot of up and unders, and the crowd whistling in a very derogatory fashion.
Taken on by Roncero. And crashing through there is Osteglia. Just for a moment of sense that Argentina will get their first chance, but the referee has already blown the whistle. We saw Jim Hamilton there. Some of the relationships here on the pitch is interesting, isn't it? We've got someone like Simon Taylor moving to Stade Francais. He'll be playing there at 8. Juan Hernandez will be one of his teammates in a couple of weeks' time in the French top 14. Jim Hamilton, lock forward for Scotland today. Leicester man, club rugby. His new coach, Marcelo Lafreda. Well, let's go down to pitch side. Robbie's down there.
Hi there, Martin. How are you? Well, good atmosphere here. I think that, you know, there is a majority of French supporters in the Stade de France. They're singing the Marseillaise, but I think they're behind Scotland, which is music to the ears of David, of course, because well, they didn't have a good night out for the opening match of the Rugby World Cup, if you obviously remember.
Picked up by Longo. There's P shot. The fullback, Corletto's in the line, up to the Scotland 22. There's P shot again. That's Albacete getting thumped very hard indeed.
Cracking tackle by Ewan Murray there.
Leave it, Blue.
Driven on again by Roncero. There's the 22.
Knock on. Advantage. Knock on white, advantage blue.
Oh, Scotland turned it over.
Push back, please. Still advantage.
Applause from the Scotland faithful here. That's Lamont coming in. Scotland have retained possession though. There it is, Patterson playing scrum half, back to Parks. Finds a good touch.
Well, nice to see Sean Lamont trying to get into the action there, coming way off his wing on the right to take the short ball, inside ball of Simon Webster. And I think that's what Scotland have got to do. They've got to try and mix things up against Argentina, attack in a different way. Because if they're conventional against them, they're going to really struggle. Argentina, very well organised, terrific, aggressive defence. So Scotland really need to ring the changes.
Albacete again, the option in the line. That's the halfway line.
Nice fine.
The ball in the hands of Martin Chelzo, the tight head prop.
Play on, play on, play on.
Burrowing away there is Juan Martin Fernandez-Lobe. The Fernandez-Lobe brothers both play their club rugby at Sale, along with one Jason White.
Quelqu'un dessus, quelqu'un dessus. Don't play 7, don't play 7.
Tee shot, back to Hernandez. Contepomi hit hard by Rob Dewey. Argentina have it again. Argentina keeping possession here, but it's all very static.
Yeah, it's very slow ball this. They're taking a long time to recycle it. Scotland doing a good job of slowing it down, organising the defence.
The pick and go there from Roncero. Rob Dewey in there again, the inside centre. Hernandez, that's Fernandez-Lobe. Over to Agula. Good tackle coming in that time from Ali Hogg. The Argentines have possession, but still in their own half. There's Hernandez, a little dab over the head of Webster. Chris Patterson comes in. Ewan Murray in there fast. Blair back to Parks. Sean Lamont in pursuit. Good catch from Pichot. Taken on by Fernandez-Lobe. That's Felipe Contepomi, only running back into trouble, and Jason White as well. Marcelo Lafreda will be looking on and won't be entirely happy with what he's seeing at the moment. Hernandez. Across comes Rory Lamont. A very tight angle. Doesn't look for touch. Finds Hernandez. He's got support from Coletto. Takes the contact, though, coming from Nathan Hines, but the referee has spotted an infringement. An opportunity here to tie the scores up.
Well, Nathan Hines needs to be a little bit careful.
I blow my whistle. I blow my whistle.
Handbags at dawn, I think, at the bottom of that ruck. But Nathan Hines needs to be a little bit careful. He spent 10 minutes in the bin for a high tackle against Italy a week ago.
Well, Nathan Hines was the first Scot sent off in an international. That happened 5 years ago against the United States. So he does have a bit of form, if you know what I mean. And there, the left hand going right round the throat of the Argentine fly half.
Well, it's always a little bit hard when you when you got a big 6'7" second row trying to tackle a sort of 5'10" winger. You know, he's got to come down a fair old way, but it's not as if it's his first time.
So 0 out of 1 at the moment to Felipe Contepomi. His miss and Dan Parks' hit. The difference between the sides. 45 metres out, almost straight in front. That's better from Contepomi. Successful with his 86th penalty in Test rugby. And his first tonight.
Well, just looking at the statistics, Argentina have had the best of possession and territory, roughly about 60% to 40% in their favour. Scotland still very much in this game, and you can see Scotland, the game they're trying to play, they're trying to keep the continuity going, trying to vary their attack, and yet they've still got to have this very strong defence.
These sides have met only 6 times. It's a charge down. That could have gone anywhere. Coletto, though, was in the right place.
22.
Well, I was nearly out my seat there, but just a little bit slow off the clearance there.
The upturned laptop. All the coaches have those these days. There's Ignacio Coletto, another Stade Francais player. Hernandez with the restart. Rory Laman. Hernandez underneath it. Meat and drink to a man who plays a lot of his rugby at fullback. He slipped though with that one. Well picked up by Dan Parks. Good step from Patterson up towards halfway. Ledesma coming in with the tackle. They've won it. Scotland have it. Good work there from Jason White. Blair to Sean Larmont this time. Nathan Hines standing over it. There's Ali Hogg with 7 on his back. Hogg plays scrum half. Back to Parks. Jim Hamilton trying to get underneath it. Like a game of basketball on occasions at the moment. Eventually it was Horacio Agula who goes down.
Right form.
Well, just indiscipline there for Scotland again. They did the good things. They put pressure on them, tried to steal that back.
Yeah. Get this.
I think Scotland think it's a scrum there, but they're saying the ruck's formed. You just see Jason White, I think it is there.
Hernandez, that's a better kick. Inside the Scotland 22, an opportunity here. 25 minutes gone here at the Stade de France, the 4th quarter-final. It's tied up, 3 points each. A penalty from Scotland's Dan Parks. Felipe Contepomi replying for Argentina.
And both sides just a little bit tentative, I feel, you know. Scotland trying to play the rugby, Argentina trying to play the territory.
Juan Martin Fernandez Lobe on that occasion. It's a good drive, though, from the Scots. They're defending well at the moment. Taken on by Roncero on the Scotland 22. Argentina have had a lot of possession, but much of it has been standing still. You can see them setting something up here, but that's Ali Hogg competing well, being dragged to the ground by Pichot. There it is, Ledesma, with the support of Martin Shelzo, the 2 Clermont-Auvergne players. There's Nathan Hines with his arms raised. Pichot still keeping it tight, the Argentines. You can see Hernandez dropping back into the pocket here. We may have an attempt at a drop goal. It's very slow. Here it comes, back to Hernandez. His second attempt tonight, and that one right off the outside of the boot. Well, Larmont getting a bit caught there. He's in real trouble here. What on earth was Larmont doing?
Well, I think he called for the mark, but the referee didn't acknowledge it.
You've got to play to the whistle, haven't you? Blair pops it into touch.
Squeeze ball, please.
Well, now the referee has given a penalty to Argentina. But Rory Laman, it's basic stuff. He may well have caught it. He may well have called for the mark, but you've got to play to the whistle.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a schoolboy error, but, you know, you can see the look of disbelief in Laman's face. He's saying, you know, but I called for the mark. And, you know, clearly he caught the ball off the missed drop goal, called for the mark. And, you know, nowadays, you don't have to be still, but Argentina followed it up, put pressure on him. Well, I don't know. I think he's been harshly penalised there, in my view. But look at the penalty count: 6-1 in Argentina's favour.
Well, you can play the good guy, I'll play the bad guy. Quite clearly he caught it, quite clearly he called for the mark. But I think when he was a young lad, it'd have been told played at the whistle.
Well, that was the problem. He should have drilled it into the back row of the stand.
Let's hope for his sake it doesn't cost 3 points. And there's Felipe Contepomi. Well, it will cost 3 points. Argentina are in front. 28 minutes gone. Rory Lahmann clearly still feeling very harshly done by.
Well, and I can understand that. I think he has been hard done by. You know, I can't understand why the referee didn't award that mark. I mean, you see so many, in my view, rather dubious marks being awarded, and yet he didn't give that one.
Dan Parks with the restart. Good take from Longo. Man of the match last week was Longo. We'll be playing rugby in the second flight of the French League next year after leaving Clermont-Auvergne. Patterson. There's Parks. There's Lahmann in pursuit. Hernandez underneath it, outside his 22.
Number 2, offside position.
This time it was Ross Ford who was penalised. Corletto with a quick take, taken on by Fernandez Lobe. 6 or 7 metres now inside the Scotland half. Webster in with a tackle. Taken on by Ledesma. Albacete. Key shot again to Corletto. Big hits coming in from the Scotland defence though. There's Corletto, the fullback. He had no space to work with. That was a bad option.
Well, good defence by Scotland, defending the narrow side very well, and they're defending close to the ruck and more. And Argentina, whereas last week they were very dynamic in their play tight, they're not really showing any sort of sense of adventure this evening.
One more. Numbers.
Argentina penalised in the line. That's Sean Lahmann. Into the tackle of Mario Ledesma. Gavin Kerr, the former Leeds and former Borders prop, will be playing his rugby for Edinburgh next season, or this season when he returns from the World Cup. Blair back to Parks. There's nobody ready to chase that. That was a poor kick, straight to Agula. But Parks atones for that. And that is Sean Lahmann, a little indecisive, and that was straight into touch.
Well, that was wasteful by Lahmann. I think he could have made something a little bit more. He needed to kick it infield rather than into the touchline. And actually, to be fair, that's the first bad kick that Dan Parks has put in this evening. I think his kicking's been pretty good from hand. Just like to see Scotland moving it a little bit wider.
And you could see a little bit of indecision there, couldn't you, from Sean Lahmann? Didn't know whether he wanted to step out of his 22, and when he did, well, he was in two minds all about it.
Well, he likes the counter-attack. He's looked for work close to the ruck and more, but he's just been eaten up by this, very strong Argentine defence.
Half an hour into the game, and Argentina starting to find their feet. It's Martin Schalzo popping out of the side. He's got support there of Ledesma, but Ross Ford with the tackle. Snap there by Ali Hogg. Good work by the Scotland back row. They've turned it over. Parks under pressure. The charge down. Oh, it's picked up and it's scored. Well, the charge down. The referee wants to take a second look. But it looks to me like Argentina have got the try.
Well, having just given Dan Parks the commentator's kiss of death, said he kicked well all night, gets that one charged down, and I don't think there's any question this is a try. No question about that.
That man Gonzalo Longo Got his first start last week against the Irish. He was the man of the match there. And a try from nothing. Gonzalo Longo. His 50th Test match. And that, his 5th try in Test rugby. Felipe Contepomi makes 5.7. Argentina, all of a sudden, they've got a 10-point advantage. Nathan Hines, meanwhile, was having a bit of attention. He's back on the field, though.
Well, I mean, Dan Parks, he kicks it in a very low trajectory when he kicks for touch, and that time, Longo, great work by the big number 8.
And he beat 2 Scots to it, didn't he? Both Ross Ford and Sean Larman. Crucial period now for the Scots. There's Rory Larman on the halfway line. This time the mark is called and it's given. Quick one there from Ledesma. From Hernandez to Ledesma. But the Scots have turned it over. Rob Dewey. And that was a hospital pass to Sean Larman. Can the Scots retain possession here? Mike Blair back to Parks. Quickly out of the hands on that occasion. Longo back to Coletto.
Well, it's a crucial period of the match here. Scotland 10 points adrift, 5 or 6 minutes before half-time. They really need to see if they can squeeze a score before half-time. Whether it's a penalty, a drop goal or a try, Argentina really have had all the territory so far.
Good line-out ball. That was Jim Hamilton was the option on that occasion. 8 metres inside.
Stay back.
The Argentine half. It's Larman. The tackle coming in from Agula. And they've won it very easily. P-shot.
And you can see Argentina just wanting to play the territorial game. They know that if they can put pressure on Scotland, they've got a guy who can kick drop goals from the 10 or halfway line. They're kicking the penalties well. They just need to keep squeezing.
No, he wasn't there.
The Scot taken in the air there. That was Jim Hamilton. Patricio Albacete penalised.
Well, you can see exactly the same as Simon Taylor pulled down Longo for the penalty in the first half. That time Albacete pulling down Jim Hamilton.
Parks takes play up to the Argentine 22. They trail by 10 after a good start, the Scots. Dan Parks must put the memories of that try behind him. He's had a pretty good game so far. There's Frank Haddon on the right. Ross Ford finds his man. It was Simon Taylor on that occasion. There's Webster, loses his footing. There are plenty of blue and white hoop jerseys there. Have they turned it over? Well, there it is. Fernandez Lobe.
This, I say, don't pay.
But the Argentines have come offside.
Well, you could hear the referee saying, don't play it, but Argentina very hungry, urgently trying to get the ball. And this is a really good opportunity for Chris Patterson. I said Scotland need to chip away at this lead, get within a chance. There you go. He comes in through the side and then tries to play the ball.
Yes, I need to turn inside, yeah.
So Chris Patterson, his first opportunity tonight. Scotland 21 out of 21 place kicks successful in the tournament. Patterson playing his 81st Test match. They've pulled it just a little, but it stayed within the uprights. It's 22 out of 22 for the Scots. 612 career points in Test matches for Chris Patterson. They're staying in touch.
Well, they are, and 2 and a bit minutes left. If they can keep the scoreline at this, or maybe even squeeze another penalty, they'd be really happy.
Been well won, though, by the Argentines. That was Martin Chelzo. There's the try scorer, Longo. Tackle coming in from Simon Taylor. P shot. That's Fernandez Lobbe. Eventually taken down. P shot. This time it's Roncero. And a Chelzo. Good work from Nathan Hines. The Scots have won it, I think.
Well, a great piece of ripping there by Nathan Hines. There's the Princess Royal alongside Sid Miller, patron of the Scottish Rugby Union.
Well, that was a big call from Joel Juge. ...15 metres out from the Scotland line. Good shove from the Scots. They've won it. And they've got the penalty.
Well, what a great boost for the Scottish scrum just on the stroke of half-time. You can see the forwards geeing each other up. Huge scrum. Relieve the pressure. And just use that as a block to build their confidence as they come out for the second 40 minutes. You know, Argentina, they're ahead, but then by no means clear in this game.
A lot's been made, hasn't it, in recent times about the bulk that the Scots have been putting on. It certainly showed there. And the other encouraging point for Frank Hadden going into half-time here is the fact that we don't want to rub salt into the wounds, but the Scots have gifted 10 of those 13 points to Argentina. The Argentinians have created very little themselves. Blair. Larment after it. Well, that was knocked forward off an Argentine hand.
Number one.
Well, Rodrigo Roncero just being pulled to one side. Trading a couple of half blows there with Nathan Hines. Well, that's half-time here at the Stade de France. Argentina have the lead, but it's still all to play for. 13 points to 6. And you can see there Rodrigo Roncero remonstrating. The Scots are getting under the Argentine skins.
Well, I was just going to say, if they're getting a little bit frustrated, you know, that's great. You know, they're by no means have they dominated this first half. And, you know, they're still very much in touch, 7 points adrift at half-time. You know, Argentina certainly haven't swept them away in the same way that they've dominated against Ireland and, well, a very tight nip-and-tuck one. I think the important thing for Scotland is the number of penalties they've conceded in this first half. One or two just slight pieces of indiscipline, which is a bit frustrating for them. But they're competing very, very well.
The territory there, Argentina have a significant advantage, almost 2/3 to a third, but as we so often say, it's all well and good having possession, having the territorial advantage. It's what you do when you get there. And really, Argentina have created themselves very little in that first 40.
Well, they have. I mean, there's been a real lack of ambition and, you know, no sense of adventure from the Argentines. The tackle count, interestingly, is 47 to Scotland and 21 to Argentina, which is always a good indicator of, you know, how much Argentina have dominated possession. But they've been trying to play the very sort of tight, close game, which just hasn't been as effective for them as it was last weekend. I mean, they really attacked the gain line at pace against Ireland, and they haven't been able to do that with the same sense of authority this evening.
Let's look at the highlights now from that first 40 minutes.
Well, that was the penalty. A lovely take by Mike Blair there. He spent some time as a fullback, so good under the high ball.
And that magnificent kicking record that the Scots have at this tournament. Chris Patterson, the main contributor in that effect. But here, Dan Parks, 5 out of 5 coming into this game, making it 6 out of 6, almost from halfway. That was the lead to the Scots. Fernandez, they call him the magician, but he's had a bit of an in and out first 40, hasn't he?
Well, he has, and some of his kicking has been very good, but he hasn't had the same sort of sense of authority as he had in the Ireland match, or indeed in the match against France in the opener of this Rugby World Cup.
I know Nathan Hines is a tall fella, but really that's a little careless, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Indiscipline again. Did a great piece of stealing just at the end of that first half, but Scotland can't afford discipline. Argentina talked a lot about the threat of Chris Patterson coming into this match, but Scotland can't afford to ignore the threat of Contepomi.
So Contepomi had missed one earlier, but no problems there. Hernandez, 3 drop goals last week. He's had a couple of attempts tonight. Neither have come that close. The first one was rather better than that one, but this was the problem, wasn't it? And that was the one point of controversy in this half. Clearly, Rory Lamont calling for the mark. There was nothing wrong with the catch, but not being given it.
Yeah, and I can't understand. He clearly is remonstrating with the referee. I don't know if he's remonstrating about the penalty or the mark. To my mind, it was the mark. Again, trying to protect the ball. He was actually pinged for the squeeze ball, but lovely kick by Contepomi there. At those sorts of situations, you can afford to concede the 5-yard scrum. You can't afford to concede the try.
Ross Ford and Sean Lamont having first run on Gonzalo Longo. But it was Longo who got there. The bounce of the rugby ball. But neat hands from the Argentine number 8 in the end. Terrific work there.
Yeah, and up until that point, Dan Parks had really kicked very well. There was one sort of slightly aimless kick, but his up and unders had been good, his kicks to the corners had been good. But he does kick in a very sort of flat trajectory, unlike other kickers.
Simon Webster just losing his feet there. Here comes the penalty. And the second opportunity for the Scots. And Rodrigo Roncero being penalised.
And it was just the ideal panacea for Scotland just before half-time. Give it to the most reliable kicker in world rugby, and he punishes you. And that's what Scotland needed. I mean, going into the half-time, 10 points adrift, you need to score twice to get back on terms. Now they're just one score away from tying up the match. And I think the first 10 minutes of the second half are going to be just as critical for Scotland.
Well, let's go down the pitch side now. It's 13 points to 6 at half-time here at the Stade de France. Let's hear from Robbie Knock.
Hi there, Martin. It's quite funny because you see the Argentine side. They're not playing the same way that they played against Ireland, and that makes it quite interesting. The Scots are really, giving them a run for their money, and they've obviously watched the video of that game and seen it very closely to realise that, they had to change their tactics, and they're doing quite a good job. And I think that sort of, the pack are quite solid there. and they're trying to play the rugby, but obviously every time that Hernandez gets the ball, he's just boosting it upfield. But as David said, you know, I think within the first 10 minutes, if we see, you know, that Frank Hadden's actually had a good talk to his boys and they come back out, I think that maybe, you know, they could continue to rattle the Argentine team and put some more points up on the board. But it's 40 minutes left, of course, as we know, and that can anything can happen.
What would you be saying, David, if you were down there now, bearing in mind they're, what, 7 points adrift, and just a sense that Argentina beginning to find their feet?
Well, I think, you know, they haven't had enough ball, which has been the fundamental problem. They've not been able to control possession. And I think where they're trying to bring Sean Lamont in tight to the loose play, you know, I love a winger who goes out looking for work, but I think they've got to try and move it a little bit wider, and rather than playing, you know, one or two passes out from the contact area, they've got to move it wide, perhaps put the ball through the hands a little bit more rather than up in the air. But, you know, you have to give credit to the Argentine defence. They pressed Scotland, they've cut down their options, and, you know, they're just sort of strangling the life out of this game. It's not a pretty game, but, I mean, at the end of the day, Argentina just want to go through to that first ever semi-final.
Same time, same place next week. The second semi-final here at the Stade de France. The winners here take on the Springboks, the 1995 world champions. England playing France in the other semi-final, and who would have thought it? The possibility of 3 nations from the Northern Hemisphere, from the 6 nations, getting through to the semi-finals of this World Cup, when at one point there were many pundits suggesting that it would be an entirely Southern Hemisphere affair.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is we just saw the tail end of that half. Argentina just getting a little bit fractious, you know, Roncero, you know, losing his temper, having a go at some of the Scots, and you just wonder if Argentina thought they might have been out of sight by this point in the match. You know, they've dominated the game against Ireland last weekend, and really, you know, it was very difficult for Ireland to come back from the score at half-time. But they've not had it all their own way this evening.
Scotland playing from right to left in this second half. They trail Argentina by 7 points, a converted try. Dan Parks, let's hope he's put the disappointment behind him of that charge down. And Frank Hadden's made a change. There we can see Andy Henderson is on. The Glasgow centre.
Here, Martin, it's Rob Dewey who's gone off.
So Henderson will effectively be at 12. Webster at 13. Hernandez. Mike Blair. He's got Parks to his right. Well, that didn't really have the depth on it that it needed, and there's nobody underneath it, but the referee's given a penalty.
Yeah, it's just indiscipline by, you know, Ross Ford penalised that time. You know, they've got to think that if the ball's up in the air, they've got to withdraw from where it's coming down to 10 yards, 10 metres away, or until they're put onside.
So it will be an Argentina line-out, about 90 metres or so from the Scotland line. They can't afford errors like that, the Scots. In tennis parlance, it was the unforced error. Jean-Juge just checking what's going on there with the numbers. Gonzalo Longo, the try scorer, was the target in the line. The drive is on from Argentina. The Scots defending well at the moment, though. Well, advantage being played against the Scots here. Pichot trying to go himself. Scotland offside.
You know, Jason White needs to take his team together and give them a damn good, telling to. It's just really stupid penalty. I mean, Scotland defended it really well. They were coming in, and you can see how they're trying to defend. They're getting pairs to come in and charge at it, get the impetus back on Argentina. But then you go and concede a stupid penalty like that, and you're 3 points adrift again.
Eight points already tonight for Felipe Contepermi. Plays most of his club rugby at fly half for Leinster. Missed his first kick tonight, but no problem since then. Very comfortable. Another 3 points gifted by the Scots.
Well, that just wasn't the start that Scotland needed going into this second half. They needed to be the ones that was going to score first, but just their discipline has let them down consistently throughout this match. Stupid penalties.
These two sides have only met 6 times before. 1 win to Scotland, 5 to Argentina. Significantly, that one Scotland win was the first meeting back in 1990 when the man to my left was captaining the Scotland side. It was an absolute drubbing, but since then, Argentina have had the best of the exchanges. This is a bit better from Scotland. That's Webster trying to punch a hole. There it is. Blair. Scotland to within 7 or 8 metres of the 22. Inside to Hamilton. That's Hines to Patterson. Well, Patterson will be told to release that in a moment, but the scrummage is effectively a turnover ball. The Argentines were there in numbers.
Well, I mentioned at half-time, they've been going outside and then back inside, which is meat and drink to Argentina, and that time again, outside in with a second pass. They need to go outside and outside again and try and put width and try and put pace on the ball. They're just never going to get any change out of this Argentine defence if they take them on tight and close to the ruck and maul, close to the contact area.
Picked up by Longo at the base. It's Albacete standing over it. Pichot's back on his feet. Hernandez standing deep. There he is. That's straight to Patterson. He's got space. He's got the support of Webster to his left. Half a tackle coming in from Manuel Contepermi. That's a useful kick. Well weighted. There's no Scottish players putting Pichot under pressure. And Larman gets his hand to it. It's all going wrong at the moment for Scotland.
Well, why not just leave it? The ball's going out. He's now given Argentina the throw-in. I mean, it's definitely going out. It's a stupid thing to do by Sean Lamont. I mean, it's just these sorts of little pieces of indiscipline which are creating pressure for Argentina and making life very, very difficult for Scotland.
One again by Longo. Ball goes to ground, though. It's been knocked on by Argentina. So the Scots don't quite have a monopoly on making errors.
I think the other thing we saw from Chris Patterson's counter-attack, he tried to counter-attack up the middle of the field and just got eaten alive by Argentina. They've got to start counter-attacking on the angle on these Argentine kicks.
Both sides, please. Both sides shoulders. Okay? No. Hey, both sides, I said. Straight, shoulders. Crunch. Crunch first. Touch. Pose, engage.
Good shove from the Argentines, picked up by Simon Taylor, who's under pressure, though, from Fernandez Lobbe. Blair, back to Parks. Larmont off his wing. Well, just runs straight into Felipe Contepermi, but it gets a second crack. There it is for the Scots, and a quick ball. Parks again. Andy Henderson trying to offload, but there was nobody there. Did well to keep hold of it, actually. That's Patterson, under real pressure, though, the Scots. But it's a penalty.
You must move.
Well, Sean Lamont is just going and looking for contact now, and it's just not intelligent rugby.
Well, there's Chris Patterson down. That, and also considering, I think, the length of this kick, means that the ball will be handed to Dan Parks.
Well, we'll have to see what happened to Patterson then.
Time on.
Thankfully he's restored.
It's here. It's here.
Chris Patterson will be playing his club rugby down in the west of England for Gloucester when he gets back from this tournament. There are already 1 or 2 Welshmen knocked out last week by Fiji, playing in Magners League fixtures this weekend. Chris Patterson will rather hope he's not playing for Gloucester in the Premiership next. So Dan Parks, 6 kicks out of 6 at this World Cup. Scotland 22 out of 22. Can they narrow the gap to 7 points? Eventually, we've got a Scotland miss.
Well, again, he needed to give that one the same sort of spank as he gave the first one, but he didn't strike it at all cleanly, and well, Argentina have punished him. Scotland took the penalty just inside the Argentine half, and that return is a magnificent kick.
Hernandez there returning it with a fair degree of interest. There's Ross Ford. Finally appears to have secured his permanent berth there as the Scotland hooker. And his first 9 caps as a replacement, did Ford. There's Nathan Hines, back to Blair. Parks, Henderson running straight into Manuel Contepomi. Again for Blair. And there's Sean Lamont coming off his right wing.
No.
Blair again. That's Simon Taylor going to ground. Andy Henderson. That's Rory Lamont from fullback. Good physical run. But the Argentines have stolen it. Good work from Patricio Albacete. Just when Scotland appeared to be working up ahead of steam, they've lost it. Taken forward there by Ignacio Fernandez-Lobe. There it is for Pichot. Back to Hernandez. Chris Patterson's underneath it. Oh, fumbles it. It's gone backwards though. There's Webster. Terrific tackle coming in from Hernandez, who may well have hurt himself. Argentina have it. There's Rodrigo Roncero. Contepomi, surrounded by 4 Scottish jerseys. Can they turn it over? Contepomi's penalised for holding it in the contact.
Well, Scotland have got to start picking up the pace of this game. You know, again, it was Simon Webster that time trying to attack up the middle, and he just got gobbled up by the Argentines and turned the ball over. Thankfully, Contepomi found himself isolated, and for once Scotland were the ones who were able to dominate. But they need to be dictating the pace of the game, upping the pace of the game, you know, causing this very strong Argentine defence to really think about how they defend. But at the moment it's far too conventional.
Marcelo Lefreda has called his first change. Robbie Knott.
Yeah, no, it's second row man, Carlos Ignacio Fernandez-Lobe, of course, coming off the field. He's replaced by Perpignan's Rimas Alvarez Quereles.
Park sets up the line-out ball on the halfway line. Parks, Australian-born. His grandfather was a Scot.
Wait.
Ross Ford. But Argentina have turned it. It's gone forward of a Scottish hand. There's Hernandez, Contepomi, Corletto spills it forward. They had a numerical advantage there, did Argentina. Corletto, who scored the opening try of the tournament on this ground.
Well, interesting. I think Contepomi was trying to put the ball out to Borges, and Corletto came in at such pace. Just a little bit too heavy, the pass.
Touch. Touch. Balls engaged.
Blair to Parks. There's Andy Henderson spinning through the tackle. The Scots have it, but it's very pedestrian at the moment. Gavin Kerr onto Simon Taylor, who goes to ground. Blair, Parks.
Stay by.
Parks in pursuit. Borges comes off the right wing, who takes it very bravely indeed. P shot. Hernandez. Simon Webster. Well, there's always a bit of good fortune involved with that. But give him credit. He's had one or two not so good kicks tonight, but that was a peach.
Well, it was, and you know, his forwards will be buying him a beer or two if they go on to win this match after a kick like that, I can tell you. Right into the corner, and well, I think...
Quick throw-in from the Scots. Blair, Park standing deep. Awkward one to take above his head. It will be a good attacking platform for the Argentines, though. 19 metres out.
Well, I think Dan Parks might be entitled to give his scrum half a bit of abuse after that particular ball. Looks like he's injured a finger too.
Martin, we've got another change as well. We've got Juan Manuel Leguizamon, the number 8 from London Irish, is obviously going to place Longoria.
So Leguizamon, who started the first 3 games in this tournament, gets his opportunity here. Turned over again. Hernandez with the left-footed drop goal. He slotted it. Well, the right foot's not working too well tonight, so he goes for the left.
Well, the left foot was a bit of a sclaff as well. He didn't strike it particularly cleanly, but straight enough, high enough, long enough.
Number 6. Number 6.
Not bad when you can do that, though, is it?
Well, it just extends the lead, and you know, they're now 13 points ahead. And you know, again, the daft thing was that Scotland won the ball against their head at the line-out, and Argentina stole it back from them.
The catch there by Gonzalo Longo.
Come back. Number 1, come back. 1.
Hernandez inside his 22. The right foot this time. It's a terrific touch find.
Martin, we've got major changes in the Scottish side as well. We've got Scott McLeod, of course, Kelly Brown and Chris Kuster, who's all 3 of them just about to get their chance to change the game around for Scotland.
Well, Scott McLeod will be moving into the second row. Kelly Brown into the back row. Cussiter, well, that'll be a straight swap for Mike Blair.
And Craig Smith as well.
So Frank Haddon throwing everything at the Argentines in a desperate bid. They need some inspiration now pretty quickly. Inside to the final 20 minutes of the game.
Well, you know, I have to say, I don't feel that they really deserve much at the moment. Scotland, you know, they needed to come out and play with a real sense of adventure. Look to play in the wide open spaces, because as soon as you start playing in the narrow channels against Argentina, they just close you down and squeeze the lifeblood out of you, and that's what they're doing at the moment. They've kept the scoreboard ticking over. They've got the initiative in the second half, and it's going to be very hard for Scotland to come back at them now.
Longo fumbles it, then she takes it in.
He was on the feet, he was tackled. He was tackled. No. 10.
So Gonzalo Longo is penalised. Opportunity now to make those substitutions. There they are, the 4 Scots. Mike Blair leaving. Also Gavin Kerr. Ali Hogg coming off. And also leaving is Jim Hamilton.
Well, interesting set of substitutions. I'm surprised they've taken Ali Hogg off. Particularly because, you know, Kelly Brown is a blind side, so they've placed an open side with a blind side.
And the old man Omar Hassan at the age of 36, the oldest man in the Argentine squad, also on. Parks. Kelly Brown straight into the action. Rory Larman in from fullback. Simon Taylor. That's Scott McLeod. Plays his club rugby at Llanelli. Some big hits coming in the midfield. The ball's loose. Manuel Contepomi falls on it.
Stop. First look on blue. Yeah.
Well, another turnover. Yeah, Scotland trying to throw caution to the wind.
Time off.
It's an interesting challenge on Andrew Henderson there. He just completely upended. I think the Argentine tackler went right into his knee. Had problems just coming back from injury.
And he's feeling the effects there, is Andy Henderson, who came on at half-time. They still have options, though, to the Scots in terms of personnel. Hugo Southwell still on the bench. He's a very versatile footballer.
Well, he is. And interesting, I think one person in the Scottish side who's really looked threatening has been Rory Lamont, but he's just not had the ball in any sort of areas where he can, you know, cause the Argentine defence any trouble.
Good shove again from the Argentine pack. Longo through the legs. There's Hernandez.
7. Okay.
There is Rory Lamont.
Away blue.
And that's straight into touch. Another basic error, unforced.
And the initiative right back to Argentina.
Rory Lamont will be playing his rugby at Sale, along with his captain, Jason White, and also along with the Fernandez-Lobe brothers. And that was taken in by Juan Martin Fernandez-Lobe. And Argentina, they're starting to sing now. Taken on by Omar Hassan, the Toulouse prop.
On your feet, one! On your feet.
It's very early to be running down the clock, but there's no real enterprise at the moment from Argentina. They've got themselves a 13-point gap without really having had to create too much. Coletto held by Patterson. That's the Scotland 22. Hernandez plays the role of scrum half to Pichot. Gonzalo Longo. Good tackle coming in from Kelly Brown. There's Fernandez-Lobe. Ledesma, the veteran, 34. Jason White tries to turn him. Omar Hassan standing over it. Augustin Pichot. There's Hernandez. That's for Agula to chase over on the far side, but it runs into touch.
Yeah, lovely kick by Hernandez. He's just controlling the game beautifully now. His kicking game has come back in, as you say, a little bit erratic in the first half, but you know, the Argentine forwards beginning to assert their authority over Scotland, just controlling the possession and position.
Can't quite see who that is down. It may well be Rimas Alvarez. Chris Cussiter. He's off to Perpignan next season, or this season, I should say. We'll be playing Heineken Cup rugby there at the Stade Aimé Giral, one of the great fortresses of French rugby.
Offside position, number 7.
Argentina penalised for coming offside.
20 minutes to go, okay?
Interesting, Agula had the ball there way back in the Argentine half, and rather than kick it back to Scotland, he just kicked it into touch. Thankfully there's plenty of ball boys around.
It was in fact Juan Manuel Leguizamon getting to his feet. Picked up an elbow injury. I think he got the arm bent back a bit a couple of moments ago. Scott McLeod in the lineup. Craig Smith drives on. It's a terrific run from the replacement, but he spills it forward in the tackle. Did the first bit wonderfully well. Coletto dabs forward. Across comes Patterson. The game's starting to open up here. Patterson has got men outside. That's Ross Ford. There's a real chance here for Scotland. Lamont steps in off the right foot. Lamont still got it. 10 metres out. Scotland surely have to get something from this if the game's to stay alive as a contest. Cussiter. Simon Taylor. Still an opportunity here for Scotland. Ewan Murray. Inside again, Nathan Hines. They're playing basketball, the Scots, but at the moment, it's staying in hand. The Scottish fans roar. We haven't heard it yet tonight. Cussiter trying to work the blind side. Cussiter goes in the corner. Well, they'll want to see it, but that may well be a try. Frank Haddon's unmoved.
Well, the crowd on its feet, and I have to say I was on my feet as well when he went in the corner there.
Well, we're going to get another look.
Before in goal.
The view that the TMO, Jonathan Kaplan from South Africa, he'll get this view. We're going to see it in a couple of moments' time, we hope. Here it is. Is there a foot in touch now? No. That's a try.
Looks like a try to me. No question.
And remember, the question that's asked is, can you give me a reason why that wasn't a try? Terrific hands there from Kelly Brown.
Well, it was. He did extremely well under a lot of pressure. And thankfully, the referee's not taking too long about it. An implacable Frank Haddon. Could this be the spark that ignites Scotland? It came from a brilliant attack down the right-hand flank. And I have to say, I thought as soon as the ball got slowed down, Argentina were going to be able to defend it. But they actually had 2 men down. There you can see Agula. Sorry, Lucas Borges it was down.
So Chris Patterson has yet to miss a kick at this World Cup. Removing the flag. A metre in from touch. It's crucial. 8 points the gap at the moment. Oh, he's caught the post, but it's gone in. Well, the uprights have played a part already in these quarter-finals this weekend. Could that be the break which keeps Scotland's World Cup hopes alive? 17 minutes remaining. It's all to play for here.
And plenty of time to play.
No call.
The ball spilled forward, though, in the restart. An opportunity to bounce back. Hernandez with the attempt at the drop. It's the right foot this time. He struck it well, but he's just pushed it right to the right hand upright.
Well, the referee called advantage over, and the Argentines complaining. Just things not going quite to plan for Argentina. He's saying perfect position for the drop goal.
The suburb of Saint-Denis has come to life. Hernandez, a little damp forward. That's very clever. The tackle from Nathan Hines. The pick up there from Leguizamon, the London Irish number 8. There's Fernandez Lobbe.
Stay back.
Well, the Scots are there in numbers. They've got a certain spring in the step now. Contepomi. Oh, through the hands of Rory Lamont this time. It must have come at him very quickly.
Okay.
But at this sort of time, you can't afford to make those sort of mistakes.
Well, for once, actually, Scotland are the ones putting the Argentines under pressure. There are 2 or 3 phases where the Scottish tacklers really got in behind Argentina, forced them on the back foot. Hernandez is down.
Well, we saw this with New Zealand last night, didn't we? Dan Carter, key playmaker, limping off. Could we now see it with Hernandez? Look at that right thigh, heavily bandaged.
Well, Martin, I can tell you that Federico Torresini is ready to come on and replace him, but I don't think he's going to get his shout this time around. He's just putting his sweater back on.
Both sides know this could be the last 15 minutes of their World Cup. The ball spilled forward. That was Patricio Albacete.
Well, just 1 or 2 unforced errors beginning to creep into the Argentine game now. It's been Scotland who've been the ones who've been making the unforced errors, which has put them under pressure.
Touch. Balls the edge.
The last quarter of this match could do with something to bring it alive.
Stay running. Stay running. Use it. Use it.
A good shove there from the Argentine pack.
Oh, 90
turned
degrees,
it over.
90, more 90 degrees.
And Frank Haddon's got his final 2 substitutes who are about to come on. Scott Lawson, of course, the scrum half. Gloucester, Hugo Southwell, the Borders fullback.
Substitution. Time off.
Well, Scott Lawson will actually be coming on in place of Ross Ford. We'll find that in a couple of moments' time. And there you can see Henan Sinalosa coming on. Manuel Contepomi takes his lead. So we've only got one Contepomi on the field. Longo picks up. He's got support there from Fernandez Lobbe and Albacete. Ledesma picks and drives into the 22. Taken to ground by Nathan Hines.
Use it.
That's Longo.
Hernandez standing very deep again.
That's Omar Hassan. Hernandez. That's Sinalosa, his first touch of the ball. Taken down by Webster. Felipe Contepomi plays the role of scrum half. The drive up to the Scotland 22. Scotland can't afford to concede here. Into the last 13 minutes of the quarter-final. Scotland giving a good account of themselves. Well, they may well have turned him here, possibly. But no, it's going to pop out on the Scotland side. There's Pichot. Well, it's been knocked forward off an Argentine hand. Roncero again barking at the referee. There he is.
Well, look at disbelief on his face as every prop cultures from a very early age. What, me?
Substitution?
Complete innocence there.
That was certainly a statement with a touch of the autobiographical about it.
And 13.
Here's Hugo Southwell. He's coming on for Rory Lamont, so it's a fullback for a fullback.
Well, I'm surprised at both those substitutions. Ross Ford, I think, has had a good game. His work rate's been high, and he's just got a big physical presence in the middle of that front row. And we're bringing on Hugo Southwell for Rory Lamont. I mean, Rory made that slight error earlier on, but he's looked the most dangerous of the Scottish backs, in my view.
It's interesting, actually, because Ross Ford, former Borders, effectively taking the place at Glasgow, vacated by Scott Lawson after last season. Lawson moving from Glasgow down to Sale, and Ford from the now disbanded Borders up to Glasgow, but the reverse in the opposite direction here with 12 minutes to go.
Again?
And of course, Glasgow have Fergus Thompson, who's in this World Cup squad, and Dougie Hall, who would have been in this World Cup squad as well, but is injured. So they've got plenty of hookers at Glasgow.
Yeah, it's good news for a fella called Eric Milligan, who's the number 4 or number 3 there, who is starting for them at the moment in the Magners League. Scotland have possession. Jason White, the captain. They're still deep in their own half here, though, as Scotland. They need some inspiration, but I think they've turned it over of Argentina. Roncero getting knocked backwards. There's Fernandez Lobe. Fernandez, long pass. Coletto from fullback, slips and falls at the feet of Dan Parks. That's Albacete standing over it. Sinalosa coming into the role of scrum half until Pichot gets back. It's been knocked forward off an Argentine hand.
Well, Scotland just need to keep this pressure, exerting this pressure on Argentina. A couple of mistakes, conceding possession. There he is.
Time off.
Good little drive through. Couldn't see. I think it might have been Jim Hamilton there driving through it.
Drop. Shoulders. Shoulders and this scrum. Shoulders.
Craig Smith having a few problems with the boot.
Well, you have to say it's not been as riveting a quarter-final as the other 3 in the Rugby World Cup so far, but it's hopefully building to an interesting climax.
It is tight, isn't it? Imagine 2 or 3 minutes into injury time, a Scot goes over in the corner, and we've got Chris Patterson with the opportunity to take his side in the semi-finals, having not missed a kick yet in the tournament. It would be
a dream finish. Speaking personally.
Dream or a nightmare, whichever way you look at it.
Balls engage. Use it.
Cussiter to Sean Lamont.
Okay.
Cussiter has already used the blind side to good effect once tonight. That's Cussiter again. Parks changing direction. Half a charge down coming from Albacete. Here's Corletto, now with plenty of speed, bundled to the ground by Kelly Brown. Fernandez. Inside Parks. Contepomi on one knee, does well. Nathan Hines is there, the tackle coming in from Scott McLeod. There's Sinalosa. There's Ledesma, the hooker. Albacete. Just inside the Scotland half. Hernandez sees a bit of space.
Well, and that was another sclaff from Hernandez. I think he wanted to pin Scotland back in the corner, but
that was neat by Contepomi, wasn't it?
Did very well to take that sort of back flip. He's slipping.
Nathan Hines just down there getting a bit of treatment.
I've seen a lot of players, looks like a sort of cramp. A lot of players cramping up in the final stages of World Cup rugby.
The clock ticks on. 8 minutes remaining at the Stade de France. The prize, a semi-final back here. 9 o'clock local time kickoff against the mighty Springboks. Having said that, they didn't look quite so mighty for a period down in Marseille this afternoon. McLeod wins the line-out ball. There's Parks. That's Kelly Brown. Now, was the ball spilled forward there? The referee says not. There's Cossata. Jason White in support. The Argentines there in numbers, but the Scots still have it. Sean Lamont goes himself straight into Sonalosa. Cossata, Parks. This is better from the Scots. There's Webster, who's got bags of speed if he gets the opportunity. A good defensive tackle in there, then the ball is loose. I think Roncero was held back there. He's having a word with the referee about it. But maybe the tide is turning, the tide of fortune on that occasion, certainly, I think, Scotland's.
Well, Craig Smith did very well to go down on that ball. He got Roncero on top of him for his trouble, but he really needed to kill possession quickly.
10. Pion.
Well, we're just being told in our ear that Gonzalo Longo, for the second straight week in his second start at the World Cup, is the man of the match. I do sometimes wonder if these calls are made prematurely.
Well, we've had some interesting calls from the panel choosing who the man of the match is, but well, it's hard to pick out anyone, really. It's been a sort of very flat occasion and no one's really stood out. Hernandez from his kicking, perhaps. Territorially.
Well, there was nothing wrong with the throw. The ball straight through the hands in the line. Scotland had a great opportunity there. Hernandez finds a long touch.
And it just relieves the pressure for Argentina. Just overthrown. I think that's one of the problems when you make so many substitutions. New hooker throwing to new second row.
McLeod, the line-out option there, palms it back with the right hand. There's Kelly Brown again in the line. Out to Lamont, did well to take that above his head. This is better from the Scots. There's Jason White, the captain. The support there from Scott Lawson. 10 metres inside the Argentine half. We're into the last 5 minutes. There's Nathan Hines. The Argentines looking a bit stretched here. There's Patterson. Eventually he's taken the ground. Terrific tackle coming in there from Leguizamon. This is good from the Scots. Southwell into Lamont. Lamont's got bags of speed. He's surrounded by blue and white hoop jerseys, though. But there it is. Quick ball. Cossata. Parks. Simon Taylor. Patterson again. Smith on his own. He's got to bring the ball in field. They're running out of space for the Scots here. They've done well, though. They've retained possession. Cossata. Oh, that's awkward. There was nobody there to take it. McLeod falls on it. But it's a penalty to Scotland.
Well,
Number 5, stay on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, Albacete went straight down on Scott McLeod there. He just dived on top of him.
There's been something for everyone this weekend, hasn't there? We're looking at encouragement now for the Scots. They trail by 6, a converted try with less than 4 minutes remaining. And all of a sudden, a plane ride back for some to Buenos Aires. And Patterson has taken play right into the corner.
Well, it couldn't have been much closer, really. I think Lucas Borges was saying it was touch and goal, but the touch judge well positioned, and the French crowd on their feet trying to urge Scotland on. It would be a tremendous upset.
Scott Lawson crucially finds his man. There's Nathan Hines, he's one of the options. He went to Simon Taylor. 3 or 4 metres out, the Scots here. Where is it? Scott McLeod burrowing away. There's no way through the Argentine defence at the moment. There it is. Scotland still in possession. Jason White standing off. Can they find the Argentine line? 2 minutes 20 seconds. There's Cossiter. Surely something must come from this. Parks. There's Henderson. Mendes was still holding a boot there. It's there for Patterson. The Scots struggling here, though. It's Kelly Brown standing over it at the moment, right underneath the posts. The clock shows the last minute and a half. It's do or die for the Scots. It's still there. Cossiter. Parks into the corner. Larmont's underneath it. Oh, he can't catch it. And that moment could well have decided the fate of the Scots at this World Cup.
Well, it was the wrong option in my view. He was well covered. The kick was too long in any case, but he was well covered. I think possibly a little grubber through might have been a better option in that stage. It's so close to the Argentine line.
Hernandez goes long. That was predictable. There's that man Lamond again. Up to the halfway. This surely will be the final play of the match. There's Webster. Trying to find a gap. Senalosa makes the tackle. Cossiter again. Parks. That's Southwell. They got numbers here. Hines. There's McLeod. McLeod up to the 22. Feeds inside. He can't find Lamont. The ball will go into touch, and that'll be the end of it, surely. Well, 10 seconds remaining. Not just yet. The knock-on coming off the Argentine hand. There is still an opportunity for one more play.
Well, we've had some dramatic games this weekend, but I tell you what, if Scotland scored from this final scrum, it would cap them all.
Roncero's popped over the other side. The ball's gone forward, out of the hands of Simon Taylor. That's it. The whistle goes for the end of the match. Argentina are through to a World Cup semi-final where they'll meet South Africa. They've beaten the Scots by 19 points to 13. Pichot congratulates Hernandez. Yet another step towards perhaps the Argentine destiny. Well, Sean Larman down there. As a Scot, how do you reflect on the last hour and a half, David?
Well, I think they will be hugely disappointed, obviously, but if I'm honest, They didn't play the right sort of game against Argentina. Their execution wasn't good enough. And it was only really in the last 20 minutes that they sort of offered the inventiveness that they should have been offering from the very first minute. But, you know, I suppose they achieved their objective in getting to a quarter-final. It was their best opportunity since 1991 to get to a semi, and I think they blew it. I don't think they gave it their, you know, as effective a shot as they might have done. The tactics, I didn't think were good enough. They played too much up the middle. They counter-attacked up the middle, and that was just meat and drink to Argentina. And I mean, Argentina didn't play as well as they have done in this tournament so far, but they're still in it.
So the 7th meeting of these sides goes the way of Argentina. Their first meeting at a World Cup. And Argentina's journey started here. Seems like an age ago now, doesn't it? When they beat France on the opening night. Both France and Argentina are now in semi-finals. On opposite sides of the draw, but Argentina have the Springboks between them and a place in the World Cup final. And they're redrawing the map of world rugby as Jason White reflects on what has been a brave effort by the Scots, but in the end they've just come up short. There's Ross Ford, Ewan Murray, and there it is. It was a try apiece, a conversion apiece, but in the end it was the boot, Felipe Contepomi, and that drop goal from Juan Hernandez.
Yeah, very disappointing. It's interesting, the second half, statistically, it evened up. The tackles evened up, the possession evened up. It was 86 to 87 tackles. The possession evened up to 50-50. And yet Scotland couldn't capitalise on it.
So as the Argentines come off.
Testing.
There you can see Ignacio Coleto on the left. Well, let's hear now from the Argentine captain, Agustin Pichot.
Augustin, every single match you play is a tough one, of course, like the Irish game, and now you've managed to beat Scotland. I mean, that's a fantastic result. You must be absolutely over the moon, although it's a very difficult clash, of course.
Yes, I think we were very tired, and Scotland played really well, so we hold it, we hold to it, we stuck with it. We wanted to win, we wanted to be in the quarter semi-finals, and we are.
Regarding the tactics, obviously, you know, you had to adjust because they didn't play like the Irish, they didn't play like the French. They really gave you a good run for your money.
Yes, I think Scotland was really believed in what they play. They're very good, so we didn't underestimate it. I think they play with a lot of pride, with a lot of passion. I think it's a great team. I have a lot of respect for the Scottish, and they achieved being in the quarter-final, so respect to them.
Congratulations and good luck for the semi-final against South Africa.
Thank you very much.
Marcelo Lafredo there with one of the Fernandez-Lobe brothers, and the half-back partnership embrace. We know they're going to be back same time next week. So let's get the thoughts now of the beaten captain, Jason White.
Jason, it was a valiant performance out there, but the Argentinians, they just strangled your game. You tried to play open rugby. Obviously, you're disappointed.
We made too many mistakes with the ball. They're a tough team to play against. They have a very strong kicking game with Hernandez. We didn't play enough territory, and in the end we were chasing the game, and they kept us out.
Now, they're playing that territorial game. Obviously, you know, it's really difficult to keep up with them because they're always pumping the ball up in the air. But you did your best, but there was still no way through that Argentinian defence.
Yeah, you can't question the guys' commitment and their passion, but at this level of rugby, you need to be sharp. You need to control the ball well, and we didn't do that well enough.
Thanks for your time, Jason. Thanks a lot.
Jason White there with Robbie Knott. Disappointment for Nathan Hines and Dan Parks. And I guess it is a little unfair because these things happen in rugby games, but Dan Parks will reflect on that moment when he perhaps didn't get the ball through his hands quickly enough in the first half, because Argentina didn't really create that many chances, and the one try they got was gifted to them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but you know, I think, you know, when Scotland look at the video and they think about the way that they played and analyse their tactics, you know, to my mind, they played into some of the Argentine strengths. You know, they played a fairly narrow attacking channel, and Sean Lamont, you know, particularly, you know, although he looked and looked for work very well, he just ran into contact the whole time, and it was meat and drink to them. And you know, very often defence win matches.
So another step towards perhaps a World Cup win for the coach, Marcelo Lafreda.
Performance from Argentina, playing your typical game. Obviously, it gets harder every single time, but you managed, you know, to produce another top performance against a top rugby nation.
Yeah, I think it was very tough, a very tough game. You know, this quarterfinals had been very surprised what happened yesterday, you know. So we knew that it was going to be a very hard game. Scotland, they will never surrender, so we knew that. But we make a lot of errors, you know. We fail in some of the parts of the second half, and we let them come back to the game. So then we had to suffer a lot. But well, we are here. We are very happy. We are in the semi-finals. For us, it's a very good achievement for the country. So we are really going to be enjoying for this night, and then of course tomorrow we are going to continue with our work.
So is it forget football in Argentina for the moment, concentrate on rugby? A semi-final clash against the Springboks. That's fantastic for you guys.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it's going to be a huge game. We have a lot of respect for the Springboks, so we are going to prepare very careful and with a lot of brightness, you know. So it has been maybe never that the soccer in Argentina has been changed, and today was changed. The main game, Boca River, has been changed to see us. So we are very happy, and we want to say hello to the Argentinians because they should be very, very happy with us.
Muchas gracias, Marcelo. Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Marcelo Lafreda there just pointing out that the big football game today in Argentina, the big derby, the Manchester United versus Liverpool equivalent, if you like, brought forward a couple of hours to accommodate this match to ensure there was no clash. Well, he was named man of the match, Gonzalo Longo. He scored the try. It was a terrific effort, and in the end it was the difference between the sides. We'll be hearing from him in a couple of moments' time. There's Fernandez Lobbe. Here, though, is Longo.
Of course. You know, it's a fine win tonight. Tell us a little bit about the performance.
Yeah, I don't know if we made the best match we can do it, but we fight to be here. We really fight during lots of years that we want to improve ourselves. And I don't know, we know that we could play better, but it's always lovely to win, and also like that.
Of course, Gonzalo, you're part of a group of 15 players, but you've been named as the man of the match once again, and we'd like to give you this award offered to you by Pierrick. So congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think it's the effort of 45 guys that we are part of that team, and it's all about that.
Gracias.
Gonzalo Longo there pointing out that maybe it wasn't the best Argentine performance, but is that the mark of a good side, when you can play some way short of your best and still win?
Well, I always think winning is as hard a habit to break as losing is. And when you're used to winning, particularly in tight matches, you know, you just know in certain situations how to close down the game. And you know, that's what Argentina did well this evening. They put pressure on Scotland, and you know, Hernandez, I thought, particularly in the second half, his kicking from hand was exemplary.
So there is Gonzalo Longo, his second start at this World Cup, his second Man of the Match award. 19 points to 13. the margin of supremacy for Argentina.
Frank, you played you tried to play some really open rugby tonight, but you came up against an Argentinian side once again who just curtail what you want to do and try and push forward. It must have been tough to digest, although you did come back in the last 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, there's no doubt they had pretty much had a stranglehold on the game, and they're very, very difficult to play against, and we put in a huge shift defensively. But I think they were a bit more mature in their decision-making around the ball. You know, our young fellas will have learned a lot from this tonight, and it will hopefully stand them in good stead for the future.
Of course, we're talking about. I was talking with the Argentinian boys earlier. They were saying they made a lot of errors. There were a few errors in the Scottish camp too.
Yeah, we didn't play well enough. We wanted to play better than that, but credit to the Argentinian defence. It really made life very difficult for us, but the accuracy of our execution wasn't what we'd wanted. And I think it probably took us just a little bit too long to get into the game.
Thanks so much for your time, Frank. Appreciate it.
Shall we, David, on the World Cup for Scotland? Has it been a success?
Well, I think they probably achieved expectations. They got to a quarter-final, and I think they probably expected to be facing France in the quarter-final in Paris, which was always going to be a very difficult a challenge for them. But I think they will be disappointed going away from this, because against Argentina, Argentina are fourth in the world, but they're definitely a side who Scotland ought to be able to beat, and so I think they will be disappointed that they haven't got to the semi-final when it's been their best opportunity for a long time.
Well, these are the highlights from the second half, and Juan Hernandez, a couple of failed attempts to drop goals with his preferred right foot, this time on the left, not right out the middle, but it went straight, and it was worth 3 points. But then Scotland came to life, and this was the moment when we thought just perhaps we may get a victory. And good hands here from Kelly Brown.
Yeah, they were. They worked really, really hard to get there. Kelly Brown loitering with intent up the narrow side. And Custer does extremely well. He was down on the ground, gets back up to take the received pass. Going back to your point earlier, Scotland have conceded 30 points in every quarter-final since 1995, and so to have lost by 6 points, they'll be very, very disappointed. I think. As I say, it was there for the taking if they executed effectively, and I think if they played a slightly different tactical game, I think they attacked too close to the breakdown, which, as I said, was just meat and drink to the Argentine defence, but. Chris Patterson, 100% record in the Rugby World Cup for his kicking.
And also look at one or two positives for Scotland. Yes, Argentina didn't play, but how much of that was due to the fact that they weren't allowed to play? And that was the last throw of the dice, to use a cliche, and you think really the wrong option.
Well, as I say, it was. The kick was executed poorly, but I think in that sort of situation, when you're up against a rush defence, stick the ball on the ground and try and get your runners through in a grubber, and it could bounce up in any way. Going aerial was the wrong decision, and Dan Parks, pick on him, he's had a very good World Cup, but tonight wasn't his finest hour, unfortunately.
A chance now to look back on the 4 quarter-finals, and we now have semi-finalists there, as you see. England against France here next Saturday, and then on Sunday, South Africa against Argentina. Here is that lineup now. England-France, 9 o'clock local time, Saturday night. South Africa against Argentina, same time, Sunday night. So there it is. We've got the lineup. We're going to have a North versus South semi-final. From all of us here, bye-bye.